afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television, syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget that podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. You'll be glad you watched. Lots of fantastic talk show hosts are on that podcast. We're going to be talking about overthinking things. Are you guilty of that? I know I am. Sometimes I will think, first of all, something bad is going to happen. I think of every possible situation that can turn out to be the wrong way. And it never happens that way, never. So there's a book I found. It's on Amazon. I've got the link to it up there, and it's on sale for $13.25. It's Stop Overthinking 23 Techniques. And we're not going to get to the whole book because it's just an awesome book, and there are several different things that you can look at, but I wanted to look at specifically at attitude. And so it talks about, and there are several different attitudes, and you can change the way you think things out. You'll have a happier life, not so worrisome, not so many bad things happening, because I'm telling you, the thing you think is going to happen never does. Okay, attitude number one, and this is one I have to have help on, is focus on what you can control, not on what you can't control. I mean, what good is that? Okay, so anxious overthinking occurs when we feel powerless and out of control, and everybody does at one time or another. Now, when we focus on our awareness on things that are outside our scope of control, we naturally feel powerless. We ignore all the things that we are at liberty to make changes and dwell instead on the things that distress us without us having any agency to act. It's like pushing against an immovable stone block. The pushing gets you nowhere and only exhausts and demoralizes you. If it can't be moved, it can't be moved. So why waste time and energy focusing on it? Why waste effort, especially when the effort could go somewhere else that has a real chance of making a change, like something that's very healthy to think about? True, sometimes your scope of action is somewhat limited. You might only have available to you the choice between two options that you really don't like either one of those. Still, you have no choice. Often the thing you can control is you, is yourself. It's me. I control myself. But that's plenty. That's enough right there to keep you busy. For example, if you have a minor car accident on the road due entirely to the negligence of the other driver, who was, say, texting, they now deny it and instead wants to yell at you for being the idiot. It's human to get carried away in fear, anger, and unhappiness, and moments it is. It's true. But getting really upset, what's it really going to achieve? So gracefully accept what is not your power to change. Your energy is better spent quickly getting insurance details. Ignore the person, get insurance details, and finding ways to get out of the situation as fast as possible so you can get that car repaired. Is the other person wrong? Yes. Are they annoying and stressful and terrible? Probably. But you didn't have to pick that stress. You can refuse to take the bait. That's the deal. They're trying to get you to take the bait and get you to get upset. That way you're upset and you can't think straight. Ignore their insults and act in a practical, stress-free manner. There's another one, another attitude. Focus on what you can do and not what you can't do. And this book is awesome. You need to get it. It's really helped me. Okay, this leads to the next core attitude. Anxiety and overthinking have a particular characteristic. It's all abstract, internal, vague. It's all about possibilities, fears. What if pigs could fly? They'd have wings, right? It's all about what ifs, memories, and conjecture. Nothing more substantial than air when you think about it, really, okay? So if you live in your head in this way, you may naturally feel disempowered, as though you were only there to passively witness the world around you. You're just there. You're thin. You're just seeing things that are happening. Sometimes when we've overcome the stressful overthinking, it's because we're afraid to act. Or maybe we feel like we can't act. Or we're failing to acknowledge that we can and even should act. Now, action is a clarifying and sobering effect, and it can bring you out of mental conjecture and stress, much more stressful. If you're not focusing on action, If you're stressing about what can't be done, you are directing your energy basically to everything that'll make you feel frustrated and useless. And we've all felt that way from time to time. We emphasize this feeling of powerlessness and shut our eyes to potential solutions. Imagine someone who wants to open a store but discovers with disappointment that red tape and legislature prevent them from acquiring a particular license. So they're stuck. The entire plan seems to fall apart. So they start to focus on the fact that they can't do anything, that it's unfair, that it stumped them, and this causes stress. But a change in perspective could allow them to ask, if I can't do this, what can I do? Can I open up a cafe instead? The right attitude turns adversity and obstacles into an opportunity for creative solutions. The best inventors often arrive at amazing ideas precisely because the original plans failed. But when you focus on the failure and not the new possibilities suggested by this failure, you place stress on yourself needlessly. So let's go back to COVID. Remember COVID? Everybody remember COVID happened in 2020? And so I have asthma, so I was freaking like, oh my God, if I get COVID, it's going to I'm going to wind up in the hospital, be on, whatever kind of machines. So I most definitely didn't want it. So the lady who owned the station, I was kind of renting from them. And so she said, man, I want you here. She said, I'm just so afraid you're going to get COVID and you'll wind up on a respirator. And I don't want that to happen. And so I'm sitting here like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so I started talking to some of my sponsors, and I said, I may not be at this radio station. I've been kind of using them as a wheel to get my show out on the air. And they were saying, you'll just find another way. You've been using Facebook Live, right? You've been using YouTube. My sponsors actually believed in me, and my sponsors are the ones who encouraged me to just do it out of my home. Best thing that ever happened to me. Because, first of all, gas prices started going up. And, more than $2 and $3 a gallon at one point than what it was previously. And I had, it was like over 35 miles to get there. And round trip, that's like over an hour in driving time. Fuel was going there as well. So we were putting a lot of money into fuel just to get there at this place. So now looking back, hindsight, even though I was frustrated and even though I was upset and even though I was thinking, why is this happening to me? My goodness, I'm just have to close the show down. The best thing that could have ever happened to me. And then I had another situation. It was with a family member who's very disruptive. And so this family member caused some issues, caused some real big problems. And so that was also a thought was affecting my show. But something, I took a higher plane and I started rethinking the way the show was being broadcast and the way the show was being brought together. And my friend Tom Williams, who actually used to own the first television station I had my show, I was talking to him about it. And he said, why are you fussing? He said, start your own radio station. You can do it on the internet now. And not have to buy a tower. You don't have to do all this garbage that previously had to be done. He said, you're basically already on television. He said, you're doing Facebook Live. You're doing YouTube. There are more sites you can broadcast your show from. Man, I have a much bigger audience than I had before. And I have so many things, sponsors I would have never had I not thought outside that box. Now, was I upset? Yes, I was being really, really incredibly upset about this. But man, I'm glad it happened now. Check out this book, Stop Overthinking 23 Techniques. Follow that link right there. You'll get it on sale for $13.25. That's more than half off. Now, we're talking about attitudes. We're going to go into a commercial break in just a few minutes. Let's talk about number 3, focus on what you have and not what you don't have. So let's talk about this. So are you sensing a theme? Okay, so confidence and contentment come from the perspective that focuses on possible solutions and positive interpretations, whereas anxiety comes from that perspective that hones in on everything that's wrong with a situation. It's a glass that's half full, half empty kind of a thing. So focusing on what you have is a way to put a positive, healthy spin on your appraisal of any situation. So what resources do you have? What's working well? What do you actually have to be grateful for? So that's another thing. We forget to be grateful about things. If you hold on to this frame of mind, you are primed to see solutions and new opportunities. You've ever heard this? One door closes, another opens. It's happened to me a million times. Every single time it's happened before the new door opened, when the door closed, I thought, well, I'm gone this time. It's never going to regain. It's never going to be. Every single time, every time, it wound up being something that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me in the long run. On the other hand, when you're dwelling on what's missing, what you lack, what's wrong, and all that you can see, you might completely miss the very solution. See, it's happened to me. That would take you out of your unhappiness. Were you not focusing on it intently? Let's do this very good example right here. Imagine someone is hosting a child's birthday party and has to cater for a huge number of people. That's stressful right there within itself. Through a minor tragedy, the cake has fallen to the floor. Oh my goodness. Quite a stressful feat. Okay, the host could stress about this fact and focus on how awful it is that this party is ruined and there's no cake. Or they could see the humor in the situation and get creative in the kitchen. They can still have candles. Got a giant watermelon, party decorations, and mountains of candy. Why not make a game out of it? Give a prize to the group of children who can dream up the best improv birthday cake at the end of the afternoon. Let that imagination go. See, what happens when you get stressed and when you get down and out? It takes away your creativity. And that's what the enemy is trying to do to you. And he does to me on a very often scale. So I have learned through the hard way to try to look at the bright thing and think, just think. You know, again, when you're stressed, you can't think. Let's go into a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a minute. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and my employees and I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. With everything going on right now, your rest is so important. That's why we're having the biggest MyPillow sale ever. Not only are my bed pillows as low as $19.98, but you can get the best body pillows ever. Regular $89.98, now only $29.98. Take your rest on the go with our Roll and Go Anywhere MyPillows for only $14.98. And we have our new couch and accent pillows. They aren't just for looks. They have MyPillow's patented adjustable fill that gives you that amazing MyPillow comfort. In this economy, you get the best gifts ever for the best prices ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you get deep discounts on body, couch, bolster pillows, and so much more, including my original bed pillows for as low as $19.98. Please order now while quantities last.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Donna
Alabama's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319 and let's think of the possibilities.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonesmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IAC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And check out that podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. We're talking about stress, and we're talking about overthinking things. And there are 23 techniques, and you can find this book, Stop Overthinking. The 23 Techniques. It's on sale at Amazon for $13.25. Just follow that link right there. You're getting more than half off when you get this. This is for everybody. This is if you're in a business and maybe you got some stressful things happening in your personal life, those kinds of things. Everybody has family issues right now. It seems like Satan is just right out there trying to get us all down. But we're not going to let it happen. We're going to bond together and we're going to rethink. We're going to change our way of thinking. And you can do it through this book right here as well. So number 4, focus on the present, not the past or the future. Wow, I need this one. Anxiety lives elsewhere. It lingers around the past. Worrying about what has already happened, or it's out of your control, or it floats uselessly into the future, imagining a million stressful possibilities. Isn't that right? We're always thinking, oh my God, what could happen? But conscious aware and useful action belong elsewhere. They live in the present. So pull your awareness to what's going on right now, and you'll narrow the scope for overthinking. You also put your thoughts on the one place where they have the best chance of actually helping you. Taking this, for example, a little more serious than a child's birthday party. Let's think about someone who's struggling with a history of abuse. It could be loss, it could be mental illness, or just general dark times. They're at a point in their lives where they're not only distraught about things that have happened and mistakes they have made. By the way, there's forgiveness there. You don't have to dwell on that. But also about what this means for their future and where they're going. So let's say after years of therapy and personal development, this person needs a new romantic partner. And things are going just fine. They're going brilliantly. But rather than focus on this budding new romance, they're carried away with regrets about a past bad relationship. They worry that this will threaten their new relationship. You know, that word worry. So they're worried that it will threaten the new relationship, and all future connections will be forever tainted by the mistakes and regrets of the past. All the while, one thing is overlooked, the fact that in the present, right now, things are wonderful. How many people mourn the passing of a certain long-gone moment without realizing that this makes it impossible to appreciate the brand new moment that they're in right now? How much energy and time is wasted actually worrying about potential futures that never come, as all the while the real concrete present moment is dismissed. So that's how you can really mess things up in a relationship. I've had to learn that too. Attitude number 5, focus on what you need, not what you want. This is a good one right here, and this will also help your pocketbook. How's this going to help? I'm going to tell you. There is a simplicity to the non-anxious way of thinking. Our personal inner narratives and our self-talk can weave just really convoluted worlds that have very little relationship to our actual lives. One way we can get sidetracked with stressful overthinking is to misunderstand what is absolutely necessary to our happiness and well-being, and that's just nice. It's optional extra. So focusing on needs rather than wants helps you to get to the core of things. You got to have core beliefs in your everyday life. It's not just for businesses. This is for your everyday life as well. It's all personal. Again, it's always less stressful to focus on what really matters and let it go of what doesn't matter. For example, someone might be planning a big move into a new area and they start to feel overwhelmed and stressed out. They think about little details and the kind of house that would be suited for their lifestyle the best. They end up getting carried away over smaller and smaller details. Place A has a great garden, but is more expensive than place B, which is closer to the shops. But then again, place C is cheaper and closest to the shops, but it has no garden at all. But do you care about the garden when it has such amazing wood floors? Think again, okay? But then again, entertaining endlessly possibilities and choices may have been smart, but it can actually paralyze you and make your decisions less effective. Trying to endlessly optimize takes us further and further away from the core values and gets us distracted with things that are important but not fundamental. So instead, a person in this example could draw up a list of 3 main features they need most in a new house. After deciding that price, a garden and 3 bathrooms are non-negotiable. They're able to focus their attention and ignore options that just don't measure up. Focusing on needs that also allows you to be more resilient with changes. Changes are disappointments that aren't great but aren't the end of the world. If we can understand that something is just a want, not a need, it's easier to let go and move on even when we don't get it. So as you see, the 5 attitudes that will really, really change your life are variations on a single theme. So people who are not subject to anxious overthinking have mastered a particular attitude to life that's characterized by flexibility, focus, resilience, and beneficial action. Put your awareness on everything that's good in every situation, like your opinions, your resources, your potential for action, and your constant ability to act on your best interest, no matter what adversities you face. And you're going to meet adversities, but here's what I've learned. Adversities kind of help me think. When I take myself out of the situation, I don't think about what I've done in the past. I don't think about a future bad circumstance that can come out of what I'm in right now. You can think more clear, which is pretty awesome. And I know one time, I'll just give you an example. So Phil and I weren't married yet. We were engaged. My car was in the shop having some work done to it. And so Phil let me borrow his car. So I was in his car, and I've always hated driving anybody else's vehicle because you always think, oh my God, what if something happens? So here's what happened. I was going down the road, Quintard Avenue, and guess what? Somebody plows into the back of me. I mean, they just plow, and all I can think of is he's going to be upset. This car is his car. It's paid for. He doesn't know anything on it. I mean, it's just, I happened to have it wasn't my fault, but see, I wasn't even thinking about that. So it wasn't my fault. Somebody plows into the back of me. They weren't watching. They were sending a text, and right there, stopped at a red light, and there they went right behind me. So Brad was in the car with me, and Brad said, "Wow." I said, "No, don't say anything to him." Okay. So the policeman was really nice. I was friends with him. So the policeman dropped me off at Phil's office. And so I get there, and I'm shaking. I'm all upset. And I told Brad not to say anything. Well, guess what he did? Guess what, Phil? Mom wrecked your car. And I'm going, oh my God, he's probably going to break up with me. He's probably not going to want to marry me. I've ruined the whole thing because I had a wreck in his car. And he just looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" He didn't even ask about the car. So he goes, You okay? And I said, no, I'm freaking. I said, I have ruined your car. And he said, well, what happened? And I said, well, stopped at the red light and this person just plowed into the back of me. And I know your car is paid for, and I feel terrible now that you're going to have to get another car. And he said, are you kidding me? It was beginning to have things happen to it. I'm fine with that. He said, let's go shopping for a new car. And he said, it wasn't your fault. Somebody plowed into you. So you weren't at the fault here. So anyway, see, I wasn't thinking about, oh, well, it's an older car. Because he took really good care of it. It didn't look like an old car. And so, but all I can think of is he has no car payment. Well, guess what? His insurance was like a huge, huge asset here. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was not thinking of insurance. And then the other person, he said, so what I'll do, we'll go ahead and take care of it. And this is another thing I found out too. If you're in an accident, and this is just free advice right here. If you're in an accident, someone rams into you and it's their fault, don't use your insurance, use their insurance. If you use yours, it will pay for it, but the problem is the insurance company's got to go hike up on your premium. So it's going to go, you'll wind up paying for it in the long run. But see how I imagined things were going to happen? None of that stuff happened. Nothing. As a matter of fact, I got calmed down and I was like, yeah, let's go shopping for a new car. So see what I mean? I worried for absolutely nothing on that. I want you to get this book. This is a real good one right here. And it's not a real thick one. It's not like 500 pages or anything like that. I forgot how many pages it is. It's only 93 pages. And it's very easy to read. It's something you can read I could read it absolutely in a night. So go ahead and find it. I've got the link for you right up there. It's on Amazon. Stop Overthinking 23 Techniques. If you'll click on that link, you're going to get that book on sale for $13.25. And it is well worth it. Let's talk about, we got a couple of minutes. So let's do some takeaways from this book. Okay, through this book, this book lays down a ton of strategies to help you cope with anxiety and overthinking. That's the enemy that does that to you. The goal here isn't just to learn some tips and tricks, it's to have a more transformational impact by inducing a fundamental change in our attitudes and perceptions. There are 5 such attitudes which you need to incorporate into your mindset, and we just had those. But the first is to focus on what you can control, not what you can't. If you can control something, do it. If you can't, there's no use worrying about it. So in the end, there's nothing you can do, and the best strategy here is to simply accept that, move on, go forward. The second is to focus on what you can do and not what you can't. This is similar to the first, but more specific. What are specific things you can and can't do in certain situations? Now, the third attitude is to concentrate on what you have, not what you don't. We often forget to appreciate all the good things we have at our disposal while focusing overwhelmingly on what's missing. However, we can correct this by consciously thinking about all the good things in our lives. Home is on what you need and not what you want. So home in on that. Because the things you want will never end and will never be entirely achievable. This will help you focus on things that are absolutely necessary. So lastly, live in the present, not the past, not the future, because what ifs are the best way to fall prey into overthinking. Go ahead and get that book. You'll be really, really glad you did. You're getting it at a really good price too. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You have a great one. I'll see you in the next show.